Good afternoon, kids, ladies and gentlemen, people of the earth. Travis Wallstein with AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning and Wallstein Plumbing here in Council Bluffs, Iowa, on another episode of Circle Trades. This week, I brought in another Morisch. I know you're thinking I'm just doing this crazy stuff, but this one's got an interesting perspective that I want to cover today. I'm bringing in Kelsey Morisch. She's a graduate of Northwestern College over in Orange City with a marketing program, and she's got. You tell a little bit about what your background, what you've done as far as history, Kelsey.
Yeah, so I went to school over in Northwestern in Orange City, good old Dutch town. Believe it or not, we're not Dutch though, but I really enjoyed going to Northwestern there. And so I got a bachelor's degree in business administration and marketing. And then at the time, they didn't have a graphic design major. So then I ended up taking graphic design classes because I knew it was highly related to the marketing world and I would need it because I use graphic design every day for marketing, and you rely very heavily on those tools. And then I'm not as smart as Harley, but I got my bachelor's degree in 3 years instead of 4. So that was kind of nice, saved a little bit of money there. And then, yeah, moved back to Spencer because this is where my fiance and I live, and we wanted to be close to home and enjoy being around the area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, with your work background, you've worked marketing. You worked up at the Lakes region for a while. You marketed. Tell a little bit about what you did. Tell who you worked for and kind of what you did, because you got involved in a lot of different stuff working up in the Lakes area. So talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I had one little brief stint at a title company when I came out of college, but I was only there for 6 months. It was not a very exciting marketing job. And so then I ended up applying at Parks Marina, which is a very well known business in the Lakes area, very successful. They have several businesses that they own, the Barefoot Bar being one of them. So Parks Marina is a boating sales company, and so we do boat maintenance and sales when I worked there. And then I was really heavily involved in the retail side at the Barefoot Bar, and designing their merchandise and doing e-commerce for them. And then they also owned Okoboji Boat Works, which is a boat rental company that was on the other side of the lake on West Lake. And then they owned several restaurants like the Gardens and Snappers, and then a few retail stores like Palm at the Park and West Boutique. So we had a wide variety of businesses that we kind of handled. And so I really learned a lot there. It was kind of my getting thrown into the wolves because you do a lot of your business in 4 months time span tops, really. And so you just have to learn very quickly, and you're trying to make as much all of your money for the year in that short amount of time span. And I was very thankful. I learned from Debbie and Butch Parks, the masters of marketing, Debbie especially. And so I learned so much from her, and I have nothing but good things to say about her. She's just a very intelligent businesswoman, and I learned a lot with her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it gave you some, like I said, with 5 or 6 different businesses under their umbrella, obviously. So you had different avenues. And I definitely want to come back to that as part of this conversation we're having today.
Sure,
So,
sure.
about maybe ways you should think about marketing, ways you should think about marketing. So, currently, you have a title. I know you've been interviewing for a position, but what's your current title, and where are you at right now?
Yep. So I've been almost 5 years now at Spencer Hospital. I have had a strong passion for healthcare since I was a little kid. My wonderful Aunt Amy always pushed me to want to be a nurse or in the medical field, but I just, I didn't go that direction. But I ended up making full circle, and there was an opportunity to come to Spencer Hospital. So I'm currently the marketing specialist there. Yep. I'm in the middle of possibly moving up to a director position. So we'll see how that goes. But right now, I handle the marketing for Spencer Hospital and all of its clinics in the area. So we serve about a 9 county region. We have 3 rural clinics, one in Milford, one in Sioux Rapids, and one in Hartley. And then we also own the ear, nose, and throat, Northwest Iowa Ear, Nose, and Throat and Spencer. And then we have a partnership with Northwest Iowa Bone and Joint Sports Surgeons. And then we do also run the Avera Medical Group Spencer Clinic as well. And then Spencer Hospital has it's different than Parks Marina where it's less businesses, but we have lots of service lines. You know, you're marketing 30 plus service lines for healthcare. So we have a very successful Aberrn Cancer Center, and we are one of the region's largest cancer centers for a small area. And then we also have 2 dialysis centers in the area. Otherwise, people are driving to Sioux City to get their dialysis. So Spencer and Spirit Lake are our dialysis centers. And then we have a large surgery center for our rural area. And
Mhm.
so we do a lot of orthopedic surgeries, short stay knees, short stay hips, those kind of things. And then anything under the sun. We are still a rural hospital, so some things we have to send out, but we try to keep our services in close to home so people don't have to travel far.
Okay. So yeah, so you're quite diverse. You're going from selling boats and parties to selling, hey, cancer and hip replacements,
Yeah, it's a big
you're,
change.
yeah, hey, you need to get your tonsils out, ear, nose, and throat. I mean, that's quite a different perspective.
For sure. It was a very big change, but I truly enjoy it. I love where I'm at in the hospital, and I love serving my community. I really do. I feel like it's a very rewarding job in the aspect you're caring for your local community.
Yeah, no, and that's great. But that's great. You do that, and it's good that you're involved. I know you said you were out on Easter egg hunt this morning. So,
Yeah, I'm part of a JC's group.
oh, there you go. So, you see, I think what they should do for the old timers like me, they should put a Bush Light beer hunt out and put cans of Bush Light all over a
Yes,
park and get a bunch of old fogies
that'd
like
be
me
very
out there paying a
successful.
free beer.
You know,
Oh, we're
that would
getting off
probably
the
be a
rails
hit. They
here.
probably make a lot of money doing that. Could totally do a fundraiser for the kids.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do it as a fundraiser for the kids. Watch the old guys go out pick up Bush Light like it's Easter eggs.
That's awesome.
So, well, your marketing background. You've been doing marketing for what, 10 years now? Pretty close, 9 years.
Just about 9-ish. Yep. I started doing freelance when I was in college, and then I've kind of done freelance on the side for the past 9 years. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, about 9 years is my experience.
Yeah. Well, I bring this up for a couple avenues. I was in meetings in Dallas last week. And anybody that knows me that's in my franchise that watches me knows I have my very definite opinions as far as how they market and what I feel they should market. It's two totally different. We're on bus. We're like Iowa, Nebraska fans, about as far apart on the spectrum as you can be. It just
Very opposite.
it is, yes, very opposite. But then our business group, I belong to the Council Bluffs Business Connection here in Council Bluffs. And on Thursday, one of our members spoke a little bit about his business and how he's marketing. He went from a real estate group to an individual group, or doing it individual, building his own brand again, and what he's doing to do that. And between the two conversations, yeah, we're talking trades, but unfortunately, to make money, you have to market in this world. That's how this works. And if
Right.
you can't understand that, then don't open a business. You find people that know
Right.
how to market for you. Because if I marketed myself, I'd market to three people, three, and it took me a lot to get them three fingers up, by the way. So, but you
Maybe the
have,
middle one was.
well, or this is read between the lines. It depends on perspective. So, um, but it's a part of what you do. I figured out about 10 years ago that I'm an HVAC guy. I'm a plumbing guy. I know I need to market, but talking marketing to me, you might as well be talking Russian, because I know enough to be dangerous. You don't want me on your Facebook or social media or planning to market. I just am not wired for it. So, nor do I want to. At this point, it's like, oh, you can learn
Right.
it. Yeah, that does. I no, that sounds terrible. You know, but there's people like you. There's lots of people out there, and marketing is very important. So, one of the things we fight, or I should say, I fight, is marketing local versus national, and this kind of comes back to your you know, you have one big, you were talking about, actually in both cases, you were talking about, up at the, for where Parks Marine, because they have an overhead company that
Mhm.
kind of runs, there's
Right.
6, 7 different envelopes, but, you know, but there's two ways to market. You can market each one as its own and their events, or you can market it as a group under the whole umbrella. I guess that's
Right.
the way my franchise has chosen that they want to, they want, they want to have, you know, they're okay with market my air serve, but they also want me to market neighborly brands, and right,
Mhm.
wrong, and different. We just have to agree to disagree.
Right.
Is and where I look at it is I know what I do. I know how we market. We're marketing top of mind awareness. We're talking to local consumers. We're talking to customers,
Mhm.
friends. You know, who is AirSurf? Who is Wallstein Plumbing? Well, who are we? Well, I've got 12 people that work for me on the AirSurf side. We've got 2 people now on the Wallstein Plumbing side. We're local, we're involved in the community. The name is there, the brand, but people want to know who the name is behind the brand and who's doing what. And I think, with what I've seen, you take a look at the parks is, or even Spencer Hospital. And Spencer Hospital is a totally different entity. I want you to kind of speak to that as far as how you market it up at the lakes in particular to begin with,
Sure.
because I don't imagine you were probably market under Parks brands or whatever their DBA is. I'm sure you were
Yeah.
marketing the barefoot and then the boats and whatever. So kind of talk a little bit how that worked up there.
Yeah, so that's a great comparison. Of course, it's not on a national level like what Neighborly is, but more of a regional level. Parks Marina did kind of go by the Marina District,
Okay.
but with that being said, not many people, especially non-local people, knew what the Marina District really was, unless they were very acquainted with Parks Marina and its companies. They didn't necessarily recognize it. It was great for us to kind of bottle everything together when we were doing like large advertisements. Top print comes to mind. Like when we do print advertisements, we would advertise it as the Marina District just because it was easy to kind of put all of our ads in one. But with that being said, we heavily marketed them separately because people know Parks Marina. People
Yeah.
know the
Bear.
Barefoot Bar.
Yep.
They don't
Absolutely.
they don't know the Marina District. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was so crucial. And like I said, people, your best form of marketing is word of mouth. Just like what you said, you know your customers and you know what works for you in your area. And the kind of tough thing with a franchise like that is they kind of try to streamline everything to work for a majority. And that's not always the case. It
Yeah.
doesn't always work. And you kind of got to trust your gut and know what your people want. And so when we did Parks Marina advertising, we knew that people that were really interested in boats really just wanted to focus on the Parks Marina side where they wanted to buy their boat sales and stuff. But at the same time, you put in little plugs for the Barefoot Bar, like go out to the restaurant in the Barefoot Bar.
Well,
But there's people that come to the lakes that have no interest in buying a boat, but they want to party and go to the restaurant,
buy a
and go
boat,
out to the
get a
bar.
six. Buy a boat, get a 6 pack of drinks at the Barefoot.
Yeah,
I mean, literally. I mean, it's like, well, whatever you decide to come up with. So,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
you
And
know,
so there's pluses and downfalls of marketing them as a whole and marketing them separately, but you know what works best for you, and that's what I would think is your best gut feeling is to go with.
hmm well, I can see national marketing, or if you're doing a regional, and this is kind of where listen, this is the opinion of Travis Kyle Wallstein. This is nobody else
Right.
out here. So before I say you're gonna get sued because you said no, no, I'll throw that out there right now. National branding I think can be important. I don't think there's anything wrong with national brand. If you're, I mean, McDonald's,
Right.
Walmart, Amazon, lots of them because
Right.
I mean,
Staple names.
AirServe, he and Air Conditioner's got 200 plus franchises, around the world, most of them here in the United States. If you're in the right spot to market that brand and for what it is, I don't think as far as maybe a top of mind awareness, I don't think that's necessarily bad. As far as a brand is concerned, what they're trying to do with the neighbor, and I'm not against Neighborly per se. They changed the company and they've got 30 different concepts to kind of give you an idea. They got everything from Mr. Plumber, Mr. Electric, Rainbow Carpet Cleaning, Molly Maids, Glass Doctor. I mean, they got 3,000 franchises that are out there underneath
Right.
this brand, and what they're trying to do is be everything to everybody for the residential home services business. But
Right.
what does that mean? What does number one? What does that mean? Number two, by co-branding under Neighborly's got to mean something to somebody. Neighborly
Mm-hmm.
brands. I mean, I buy what's my sir fruity pebbles or chocolatey pebbles. I don't go buy them
Yeah.
because they're General Mills.
Along. Yeah. General Mills. Yeah.
Yeah, or whatever company they are, but they got a brand that they do under, or Kellogg's or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So they're trying to make this transfer, and their thought is cross branding and cross promoting. But the first thing is we have a hard enough time with people knowing if you don't have an air serve in the community what it is, and you have to have the local focus to grow it, and then you want to transfer and have these trucks with the Neighborly brand, and it's only as good as number one the strength of the brand and how strong it is in a market. Now, if you've got 11 concepts in a market, I think it can work, to co-brand. But if you've only got one or two, what does it mean? Okay, we got 27 services we offer. We can only offer three, but we're going to market Neighborly. I think
Yeah.
it's a waste of franchisers' money. Now I know there's a thought you can spend more money. You can make more money because you cross brand or referral. But to be honest, unless the customer knows what it is, well, how are they going to know what it is? The only way they're going to know what it is if I decide to promote it. What do I want to promote? Do I want to promote my business and my employees and my wall stand plumbing business along with the, or do I want to market other people's businesses that really have nothing to do with mine except we're under the same franchise?
Right.
I
I
mean,
think
go ahead.
I think you hit the nail on the head right there. Really. Oh, hi, Whiskey. Sorry, my dog is here. Um, so really, your customers aren't going to know Neighborly, and this is just my marketing opinion. I get what the franchise's vision kind of is, but at the same time, like you said, people in your area don't know Neighborly. They know AirServe, or if you have another franchise that's a Neighborly franchise, they might know Roto Rooter or whatever, but they don't know Neighborly, and so you need to personally, I would think that you need to focus on AirServe of Council Bluffs because that's what your business is. Um, it's really hard to sell that Neighborly company ideal. Because if I call in, I'm not looking up, oh, Neighborly near me. I'm looking up HVAC near me, or
Plumbing near
heating and
me
air,
or
or yeah,
house
AirServe.
cleaning. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
but that's
you're not
my point.
Googling Neighborly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, if you're buying, you see, now if you're buying a car, let's say if you're buying a Chevrolet or a Toyota, or heaven forbid you're buying a Ford, or an electric vehicle, that's even worse yet. But I won't get into the politics of
it's true.
that. Sorry. Um, But if you're doing national branding, Walmart, there's Walmarts all over. There's Walgreens all over. There's Dollar Generals all over. It's way different. You go to a Walmart in Council Bluffs, Iowa, or a Walmart in Dallas, Texas, or a Walmart in Phoenix, Arizona. 99% of the stuff is going to be the same when you go into
Right.
Walmart.
Right.
But when you're
That's not
talking,
the case with neighborly though.
no, well, it is not number one. Number two, just in the HVAC business, there's
Yeah.
7 to 8 different manufacturers. You have
Right.
different state licensing. You have different processes depending on the state. Listen, in Iowa, we have heating and cooling season. You move to Texas or Florida, you have cooling season. And you sit on your butt for 6 months because there's nothing to do. I mean, I'm not belittling it. It's the reality of the business.
Yep.
So to you know so that's where I've really started, and I've had people that bought, oh, we'll grow, we'll do this, and it's like, folks, look at what you've done to brand to grow your business. Does this cross branding? Or I'm not going to say it doesn't ever work. They have a few locations to where they've got 8 to 10 to 12 owners that have bought into it and they've really aggressively marketed. But that's the only reason that's worked. You got to get owners that want to buy in and spend the resources into it. And if you don't have the people that are buying into it, then it's not worth the time or the effort. And there has to be a return
Absolutely.
on that. And
Totally
for me,
agree.
there's none. In my market, unless I bought 4 concepts myself, and I'm like, well, what? Well, number one, I don't want to pay the royalties, but on 4
Yeah.
franchises. But number two, it just to do that to market neighborly, it makes no business. It makes financially no business sense for me to buy 4 other concepts just to be able to say I can market neighborly, because at the end of the day,
I,
neighborly's got to mean something.
yep. Yep. I totally agree. It's not smart brand awareness on their part to kind of force that upon a franchise owner,
Hmm.
in my opinion.
Well, I understand the reasoning behind their thought process behind it, but it's
Yeah.
I haven't got into some deep conversations, but I've definitely gotten into some conversations about it. And when you're affecting people's livelihoods, to kind of get people an idea for marketing, and not everybody's going to share this. you know a lot of companies spend anywhere between 2 and 10% on marketing, and the more aggressive your company is, doesn't mean if you market 10% you're going to get more calls, but it's more likely if you're doing the right marketing, it's more chances that people are going to pick up the phone and call you. And then you have to go out and perform. You have to go out and do your job and do what you say you do, and offer products and services. I do
Yep.
think I do think that boat definitely, you know, gets missed on it. And so when you split, and the other part is, what happens when you split the message? I mean, you work for a hospital that's got,
Yeah.
you know, they got Northwest Iowa Ear, Nose, and Throat. They've got, Abbott Cancer Center. They've got,
Mhm.
you know, they're all under the hospital umbrella. But if I look up Spencer Hospital, unless I go online and I do a search, I don't know what the other. I had no
Service.
idea that this stuff's underneath there.
Yep.
And if you don't know, so there's times where you have to market them. If people, how did you hear about us? Well, I heard about it online or Facebook, or you, you know, or there's always different scenarios. But if you don't let people know you're there, if you just say it's under Spencer Hospital, I mean, you could get lost, and that person may never get, or they might
Yep.
go out of the network. I mean, am I wrong
Mhm.
in my thought process?
No, you're absolutely right. So like that's one of our biggest challenges working at the hospital and stuff. We try to here, hold on. Let me gather my thoughts. We're trying to make a cohesive brand. So our clinics, for example, are called Milford Family Care of Spencer Hospital. So
Yeah.
then they know they're part of Spencer Hospital's branding. So all of our branding, like Abbott Cancer Center, is of Spencer Hospital. But totally get what you're saying. If you're just looking up Abbott Cancer Center, do you know that it's part of Spencer Hospital? If you're from the area, yes, absolutely. And thankfully our market is a regional level, so most people can figure out that it is of Spencer Hospital. But yes, you do have to really hit home with that of Spencer Hospital portion. So like the Northwest Iowa ear, nose, and throat, they are kind of our anomaly where we don't brand them as much of Spencer Hospital.
Hmm.
But they're still part of our group. It's because they were owned by another group of people before us. But yeah, that our clinics are definitely all marketed with of Spencer Hospital, so people can realize that they're part of our group.
So they're branding back to that, but I also think it also makes a difference as far as how involved is the hospital in the community. The hospital is kind of one of them staples in the
Yep.
community.
Yeah.
You freaking cut your finger off, or you break your
Yeah.
arm, or
We're involved. We're involved in everything.
yeah,
So
yeah,
people,
yeah.
and that's the important part is where like a national franchise, they're kind of missing the ball on that part is they're not thinking of a localized community where that's easier to market something like that, you know.
Well, and within a localized community like, around here, there's one other business owner in my backyard. Now, go over to Nebraska, there's 10 other concepts, but you know how I'm going to come over to Iowa?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, so there you go. And every market is different when it comes to that, and that's the thing. If you're going to be able to cross brand and offer them services, to me, you have to have similar territory. Territories that you cover or
Mhm.
service. You have a 9 county area that you service. If I,
Yep.
if I'm air service, if I'm going to refer to, let's say, Mr. Rooter or Mr. Electric, I want them to be able to cover the same territory that if Mr. Electric is not licensed in Iowa, does me
Hmm.
zero good. If Mr. Rooter doesn't want to, you know, isn't licensed in Iowa or has no desire to come over to, Western Iowa to do work, and it's not a focus of his business. It's counterintuitive for to co-brand that. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, when you have individual owners, and that's what it comes down to, you have individual owners. You want them to think, understand, well, bro, but you know this. You get 10 people in a room, you have 10 different thoughts and ideas. So, and that's
Right.
why the only way I see around it is if the franchisor either has an investment company wants to come in and start buying out individual franchises, or they buy them up and they become national that way, which that's gonna be a
Yeah.
lot of money for a franchisor or a private
That'd
equity,
be a big overhaul.
and it's going to change how they market, how they do business. And if you're a if you've bought into an air serve, let's say in Colorado or Texas, or let's say Alaska, let's just throw any of them out there.
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know you know you have a couple other business owners and concepts, you guys might not believe the same thing. Hell, you may not get along. So if you don't get along and you guys don't believe the same things, how the heck is this co-branding with marketing going to work? And I just,
Right.
it sounds great. Like I said, you could put lipstick on a pig, but at the end of the day, it's still
Right.
a pig.
Right. I totally agree. It's that's a tough situation because I think you hit the nail on the head though. Like they have to think of it from a localized perspective, and they're kind of struggling to do that at the time. I feel, um, and hopefully the franchise owners kind of reiterate that back and provide feedback to them that maybe they need to reevaluate it. I get that they probably will always continue to push it to some extent because they're trying to push that they're a larger company, and I get that,
Yeah.
but they don't want to lose that household name of AirServe, or Roto Rooter or
Whatever it is. Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, because last time if I, because I mean, if they, if they were going to do this, if I knew they were going to do this, I mean, if they want me to change my name to Neighborly Heating and Air Conditioning, we could have done
Yeah.
that years ago.
Yeah.
You, you
You
know,
lose all your brand awareness that you have.
exactly, and so it's yeah, but it is what it is. So, um, want to talk about AI for a little bit, and I'm going to
Sure.
premise with the whole AI deal. So I'll get out difference instead of me bashing my franchise because I'm sure I'll get a few emails and calls by that says nothing I haven't already told you folks. So
It's just constructive criticism.
yeah, it's the world according to Travis, as someone pointed out to me on a Facebook post one day, and I said, yes, it is my world, and if
Right.
from my
Right.
perspective. So
You're invested in it, so
yeah, that's true. Let's talk about AI for a minute. It's getting bigger. I'm getting stuff
yeah.
all the time for AI. What are are you seeing much with AI as far as what you guys do with your marketing and branding, and what ways are
Mhm.
you using AI?
Yeah. So I'm going to preface. I watched Harley's interview with you talk about AI, and I I he said he was a very beginner to what AI is. I'm like a beginner,
Okay.
but they're integrating it in most software now. So I'm acquainted with it. This the science behind it is where I struggle with it. But I they are integrating it into software. So a lot of our marketing tools, we're seeing it being used. Um, One of the big ones right now is SEO AI is big right now. It's very expensive though to get into. So what these SEO companies are doing. So for the viewers that don't know what SEO is, it's search engine optimization. So basically, what it does is it optimizes your website or whatever pages that you have. So then, when you're being searched on Google, your information pops up higher in the queue so people can see it. And you can pay for search word ads. But the optimization is basically the data on the back side of your website
Mhm.
is pulling certain keywords that people are searching for. And so, from my understanding of it, these SEO AI web companies, what they're doing is they're crawling the website looking for ways to optimize your website and improve them. So, you're paying for a third party service to basically um, feed through every page that you have on your website and look out how to improve that. First, and you can do that without AI, but it's very time consuming.
I got better
And so that's
time.
right. And so, you could spend a lot of time doing that and spending a lot of labor costs doing that if you were looking up your own metadata. So that's kind of the sales point on these third party companies is like, hey, well, you can spend big bucks paying us to do it, in annual fees. And that's great. That's wonderful. But the tools are very expensive depending on what you're doing, but rightfully so. It saves you money. In that sort of way.
Hmm.
But other different ways that I see AI day to day. So I use Adobe Creative Cloud to do all of our designing
Hmm.
for marketing. And so Adobe integrates it into their design software now as a tool. And so if you need, and it doesn't work perfectly, by the way, so it's not going to take away the roles of graphic designers and marketing people because you'll have a hand that shows up with seven fingers, weird stuff like that. But it does help you make I know it's weird. It doesn't have that full capacity of to recognize that this it looks kind of human like, but it doesn't look right. And so you have to be careful how you edit things. So with Photoshop, I use it pretty much every day with AI just to edit small little things out. It's really good for like pulling things out of a photo that you don't need in there. Or editing backgrounds. I do that a lot just with AI because it's so much quicker than me doing it and spending the time to edit it. So it really has cut down on time I might be spending editing
Hmm.
certain items. And then another big AI tool that I use every day is for a communications aspect. I use Chat GPT a lot
That's the one
because
I
it's
hear
really,
about. Yes.
yeah, because it's a big language system. And so what you can do is write me a blog on hip replacement. You know, you can, and it'll poop out an entire blog. Is
Mm.
it all usable content? No, you have to kind of go in and otherwise it sounds like very robotic. Like you have to humanize it, you have to edit it. So I don't use it in that full aspect, but I do take little bits and pieces. Like if I just need like a little social media post, um, talking about Doctor's Day is today, National Doctor's Day.
Mm.
So you can say, write me a social media post on Happy Doctor's Day, and it'll come out with a little 2-3 word sentence that says Happy Doctor's Day and thank you for your commitment in healthcare, yada yada. And that's where it's really improved workflow, is kind of saves a little bit of time doing stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not the doctor's day where he makes you sit in the waiting room with my kids for 2 hours or in a room for 2 hours. And then I send my bill for $200 because he was busy. And I'm like, well, I lost
Well,
$200 for time because you
that's
were
how I
busy
feel
and no one
about.
came and told us. So, or I'd have left. So he paid the bill too, by the way. This is a long time ago.
Oh
So,
wow.
so now if I take my kid, well, right now my kids are grown up. If I had to take my kids in, it was not a problem. After that, it's like, oh, Mr.
Oh
Wallside's
no.
here. He needs to get right on in.
Yeah. Um, that's funny. Oh my gosh.
Yes, I am
That's
that person. So yes,
um so I know there's like big talk, not just in marketing about AI, but like in healthcare. So there's going to be tools down the road that AI is going to be integrated to with even healthcare equipment, even with maybe your electronic health record, potentially. I don't know that end of it because I'm not on the tech side of the healthcare world, but I know it will be the way of the future. They'll I know one thing that's been AI has been doing, they've been looking into, they'll go and read your like um symptoms of what you're having, and then it will poop out a diagnosis. And I shouldn't say poop out, but it comes up with a diagnosis, but that you might be happy, where it kind of takes out the humanized perspective of it and just really looks at the nitty gritty. So I
Mhm.
know there's been articles on that happening, and then looking at scans. So, you know, you might pay a radiologist to look at X amount of scans per day, whereas, like, if you put it into an AI, some sort of reader, they can go through those scans quicker than what someone might have the time to look at them. So it'd be a quicker feedback to a patient. Like, let's say you won't get your results back for a week from a physician on a scan, it
Mhm.
might come back the next day with that AI,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
So there is benefits, I think, and kind of what Harley and you really talked about the last time. I think it's going to be so integrated into everything moving forward. We kind of, you got to embrace it to an extent, you know.
I got these computers, and they'll ask me if I want to, have Alexa or have something talk for me, and it's like, oh hell
Yeah.
no! But then I'll be talking about
Right.
something, and my Facebook will have 27 things that'll pop up because I wanted to look at a plasma table a month ago just to kind of find out a little bit about every day,
Yeah.
or better yet, Fitties registers that we bought for a customer because they wanted these. Right, I guess you can buy Fitties registers every day. You know what? Okay, we bought them for a customer. Great. I hope they like them. But I just, it's not something I'm interested in. But by God, the interweb picks up on. It's like, oh my God, he's
Oh, yeah.
interested. It's like, uh,
Yep.
yeah,
They're listening.
oh yeah, Big Brother is
Big
listening. If you
brother.
don't think they are, I don't think they are. So yeah, there's for those of you that are a little weird. There's Martians out there, or space aliens listening. So just know. So when you go crawl in your hole tonight, so,
Mm-hmm.
oh,
Keep
that's
your
not very
foil
nice.
hat on.
Yeah, we're aluminum num num num. So, but yes. Anyway, so well, hey, like I said, appreciate the perspective. Like I said, obviously, you live in a little bit different world what I did as far as work's concerned. But marketing is kind of marketing. Um, you know, national branding is that's a totally different ball game, and so appreciate perspective. I there's always
Yeah.
perspective on stuff, but people do not understand that, how do you get your message out? There's marketing, there's branding, probably makes a whole lot more sense maybe from a branding perspective to try to do stuff, but there's a big difference between branding and marketing. And, I
Mhm.
think you need to decide, are you wanting brand awareness or are you wanting marketing awareness? And I think that gets to be something, I think that's something that gets missed or gets intertwined maybe more than it should.
Yeah.
I think you have to really sit back and take a look. And from my perspective, I think there's a lot better way to do things. But I'm just one guy that lives in Council Bluffs, Iowa, and likes the bullshit. So I guess it is what it is. So.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But that's a great point of view to have too, though, is you, as a business owner, whatever your job field is, your trade field, whatever you do, marketing is so essential to that. And like the trades world, there's jobs in
Mm-hmm.
any field in marketing, which is great, and so many avenues that you can go with it too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's lots of different ways you can go with it. So, well, Kelsey, I do want to say thank you for your time. I appreciate it. So,
Yeah,
if
thanks
you
for
get
having me on.
not a problem, and folks out there, if you have any questions, you always give me a call. For those of you who aren't aware, this is on YouTube, but it's obviously on Spotify as well. So, so we got both platforms. I'm gonna try to do a little bit more of marketing that myself. So, I'm always up for ideas. I believe it or not, I have a lot of people that do reach out to me that I'm like, oh, so always open
Mhm.
ideas, always open to perspective. The opinions are mine and mine only. So if you don't like the opinions, that's okay. We can still get along and not agree all the time. It's
That's right.
this isn't the interweb, where Facebook where you got to unfriend somebody because they said something to hurt your feelings. So because I'm gonna hurt your feelings at some point, it is what it is. So, but so. But no, I thank you for your time, Kelsey. And like I said, until next week, we'll talk soon.
See ya.